All right, guys. Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to need a little bit of feedback here because I'm like straight up getting a warning from YouTube that my bit rate is not high enough. So I'm not sure how it's coming through on your end. I also don't know how much latency there is. Looks good. All right, I'm going to this is the first time I'm trying to do a stream in 4K. Looks okay, but not 4 quality. Yeah, 4K quality. Yeah, so I have everything set to 4K. The problem is I completely forgot to increase the bit rate. The bit rate is supposed to be about like close to 5 times higher than it is. So it probably looks good, but nowhere near as good as it's supposed to look, unfortunately. So that I'll have to correct next time. I want to test the latency. I'm going to say a word, and I want you guys to type this word in the chat, and I'm going to time how long it takes for me to see the first word typed in the chat. All right. I'm going to say the word boss. Type the word boss in the chat. That can't be real. There's no way that's real, dude. Gaming Survivor typed in boss in like 3 seconds. He had to have known I was going to say that. Okay. So there's not too much latency there. All right. That's good. Not too much latency. Just a couple seconds. Yeah, Carlos. You're saying for 1080p 60 FPS, it's supposed to be 6,000 bit rate. For 4K, should be. You're saying 4K 60. For me, it would be 4K 30. Should be over 20,000. Yeah, mine's still locked at 6,000. So it should probably be around 25,000. But all right, guys. So here's I have quite a bit to go over with you before we have our discussion today. How are we feeling? How are we feeling about PlayStation going into 2025? Only channel members know. Clown cosplay on the normal stream or members only? It'll be member stuff. Member stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna explain what's going on with the member goal and all that stuff. Just gonna wait a couple minutes. Let people kind of join the stream. Illegal Monkey, you're saying you feel like the best is yet to come? Haven't stretched our legs yet with the PS5? Might not play a first-party game all year. Interesting. That's an interesting one. Russell, you're saying you're not particularly confident after hearing some of the things that Sony said last year? Mr. B says Ghost of Yote is a day one buy, but not sure about Death Stranding 2. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Roland Leon. Roland Leon actually became a member and re-upped his membership as soon as this stream went out. So before I was actually live. So Roland, that did count. Thank you so much for that, man. Very much appreciated. I'm going to be talking about member stuff in just a moment. Ghost of Yote is going to be insane. I'm very excited for Ghost of Yote. Yeah, very excited. I really hope it lives up to my expectations because Ghost of Tsushima, with how good that game is, my expectations are pretty high. Not going to lie. My expectations are pretty high. Chris, you're saying you truly feel like 2025 will be what we've been waiting for. Nice current gen games. Well, there are still going to be games launching on the PS4, which is crazy. You love the 4K stream? Yeah, it should look even better on the next stream. It should look even better on the next one because, like I said, my bit rate is not, it's like a quarter of what it should be. I forgot to increase it. So you can set it to 4K resolution and it will look pretty good, but the true potential has not yet been achieved. Hopefully it will be soon. Kyle says PlayStation is cooking and we are about to be served quite soon. Oh yeah. Yeah, Corey Landiga, he used his milestone chat in the it wasn't the members lounge, but the morning with the misses. She did read it. We both read it. It just he happened to drop it like as soon as it ended. King Sam says, "Damn, why is the goal reward after I'm fresh out of 50 bombs? How could you do this to me, MBG?" Well, here's the thing, King Sam, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. We're going to go over the situation with the member goal and try to experiment a little bit here. Would I ever do a Death Stranding 2 deep dive on what we should expect and hints in the trailer? I don't know if I would. I don't usually do that with game trailers and stuff. I just kind of take it for what they are. I take the trailers and what's being shown for what it is and what they are. But gotta let Leia in. Hold on. All right. So before we get deeper into this conversation about boss, it's too early. It's too early, bro. Boss, you're getting fat, man. I'm sorry, but you are. Like I know you want treats and I know they're your favorite thing, but we got to tone it down. Like we had no choice. You're getting overweight. Start exercising more. I don't know. Gaming Survivor, member for 17 months, uses his milestone chat. He says Helldivers Dispatch 2025. Cyberstand destroyed. Automaton Xbox feed from Lies of Phil firmware. Now left without exclusive planets or games. Get some. Boss. No. Come on. Don't. I have to move over here out of his reach, man. See what you do to me, boss? Look at him. No, get away. Away, you beast. Look at him. Look at how fat he is, dude. Bro, I am dead serious. We're cut off. The treats are cut off. You look massive. He's completely addicted. He's like, please give me more. No, I gotta take care of your health, boss. You're getting overweight. You're going on a diet. I'm gonna break out the cat laser. You're gonna have to start running around some more, burning some calories, dude. Dude, you need to stop. I will escort you out of this room, boy. I can't believe him. I gotta move all the way over here. Dude, I can't do this. The streams. I'm gonna have to end the stream. Boss is ruining the stream. We can't even talk about PlayStation. How are you extending that far? That's what I thought. That's what I thought, bro. Who does he think he is? All right, guys, let me give you the rundown here with the situation with the member goal. All right. Oh, God. So what we did in December, on December 9th, I believe, or December 10th, it was 9 or 10 days into December, I put a goal up of 1,200 members for the remainder of the month. And if we hit that goal, we would do a Mrs. MBG reveal, which we did. And we did hit that goal. I was surprised we hit it. So what I'm going to do now, like I said, in 2025, I'm offering more members content than ever before. Obviously, we are going to continue with video content, news videos. We're going to continue with the regular streams. We're always going to be doing topic streams, reaction streams, event streams. None of that's going to change. So if you're not interested in any of the member stuff and you're just here for that content, that's going to continue. You're going to get more of that than ever before. But when it comes to the member content, we are doing more. We're doing members lounges. We're doing Morning with the Misses. We're going to be doing, hopefully, Morning with the Misses, like I said, once a week. And to be clear, and hopefully it can stay this way, the goal is there will be no member goal for Morning with the Misses. Morning with the Misses is just going to be something that we do regularly to reward members, essentially, just for being members, whether you are a paying member or a gifted member. You're going to be getting member gameplay streams. You're going to be getting early access to videos, by the way. I keep forgetting to mention that. That's a new perk that I've added for memberships. It's something that I just decided that, you know what, we're gonna go through with it. If you're not a member, you still get access to the videos, but if you are a member or if you do get a membership gift, you will have early access to all of the videos that I put out on the channel. So something else I'm going to throw in here, it's basically like the 1,500 member goal is not necessary. All right. Obviously, I want you guys to hit that by the end of the month. We have the entire month of January to hit this goal. So plenty of time. But the idea here is there's no pressure for you to feel like we have to hit this goal. But I want to encourage you guys. And the way in which I'm going to encourage you guys is if we do manage to hit the goal of 1,500 members by the last day of January or February 1st, you will be rewarded with a Mr. and Mrs. MBG Sekiro stream, a game that a lot of you guys have wanted me to play. I tried. I couldn't really get into it, but we'll do basically a celebratory stream where me and Mrs. MBG play this game for members. Now, there will also, if we end up hitting 1,500 members before the end of the month, we'll do a stretch goal. And this was Mrs. MBG's suggestion, as well as members who were joining us with Morning with the Misses. If we hit a stretch goal beyond the 1,500 before the end of the month, I will actually play Sekiro in the Clown BG cosplay, where I basically dress up as a weird hybrid of snake, like clown snake. I don't know. Apparently that's what's going to happen. So, some lofty goals here. Again, hitting these numbers is not necessary. Hitting these numbers is not necessary. Saying I'm milking the memberships at this point. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it, man. Like, I'm providing members content, for memberships. For anybody who's a member or is gifted a member. Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the regular channel or regular content. That will continue as it always has. But this is just a kind of long, month-long goal that even if you're somebody who's just dropping 5 membership gifts occasionally, you're going to help contribute to that. And if we don't hit it, we don't hit it. But, there will be a reward there. if we do end up hitting those big numbers. PS5 Pro reportedly sold 4.1 million in November. Really? That feels like a really high number, dude. That feels like a really high number. For 1,500 members, I think we need a full Sekiro playthrough. Would add a lot of incentive for gifting too. Oh, I don't know about that, dude. I mean, in all seriousness, I don't know that I could do that in the sense of like, I just don't think it would be realistic. I could try to beat it potentially. I'm not sure, but King Sam, you're saying, let's say the member goal sits at 79 members. Do we still get a Sekiro stream if hitting the goal doesn't matter? Well, it's supposed to matter for you guys. No, I'm not. If we don't hit the goal, I'm not doing a Sekiro. Like, I don't want to play Sekiro, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to do it. It's not a game that's on my radar right now. But it's one of these things where it's like, you know, if you guys make it happen, I will do it. I will put myself through. I don't know if I'm going to play the whole thing, but we'll make it a big celebratory stream. But it might not work, you know? I don't know. I'm testing the waters here. You know, we're testing the waters. The thing is, people gift memberships no matter what, right? Like we get a lot of membership gifts that flow through the channel, and that's how people support the channel and they support the community. I just figured if there was something there that for those who were gifting memberships, just a bit of added incentive, you know, to just know that they're contributing to a larger goal and a potential celebratory stream. But worst case scenario, here's the worst case, right? We don't hit the goal, but you still get all of the regular content, members content included. All right. So that's the worst case scenario. Still a ton of content, still going to be a lot. I'll be stuck on the first boss for days. I mean, yeah, yeah. I was really struggling when I was playing that game. But yeah, with that being said, guys, I want to dive into this discussion with you. So it's officially 2025. The other day I did my predictions for 2025. And those predictions were focused more so on trying to be as accurate as I could. Although I'm sure I'm going to be wrong about a lot of it. But what I want to do now is have a more general discussion about just how are we feeling about PlayStation going into 2025? Because I got to be honest, man, I feel like there's not a whole lot of excitement, but there is enough. There's enough excitement that I feel like seems like Sony could do a lot more. You know, there's like, we know things are coming, but we also don't know. We don't know release dates. We haven't seen the whole picture yet, right? And Illegal Monkey comes in and drops 5 membership gifts. Illegal Monkey's kicking it off. He's like, bro, we got to chip away at that goal. We got to try to make this happen before the end of the month. Illegal Monkey, thank you so much, man. I will add that to the counter here. Oh, by the way, is that member? I forgot about that, dude. I forgot about it that quickly. Yeah, that new shout out to anybody who recognizes that cat. You need to beat Sekiro at least once unless you get sure ending, which means you miss out on 1/3 of the game. Boss, dude, you get. Come on, get down. Thank you, Illegal Monkey. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, we got a new Mrs. MBG picked that one out. All right, but that does bring us to 84 goals. 84 members, not goals. New family cat? No. Doesn't let me. Sorry, guys. It shouldn't normally take this long. I got a lot of different. I obviously changed up quite a bit here recently, so I just have to get it sorted, and we'll be good. I think that worked. Okay. It's not. Is it showing on your screen? I think it glitched out. No, there it is. All right. Drunk Cat from a hidden gem game from Mrs. MEG's PS2 gaming days. You're hopeful for Ghost 2, Mafia 4, GTA 6, new software features. How was the Hot Pocket? It was good. Thanks for asking. Boss is the main funder of this channel. Have respect. He needs to have some respect, bro. He needs to have some respect. I'm trying to talk to my audience here, you know? I'm trying to talk to the community. And he's just like, treats. I feel like there's I feel like there is a lot we don't know about what PlayStation is planning for 2025. I think that there are a couple things we do know. We know about Ghost of Yote. We know about Death Stranding 2. We know about Marathon. But something I just can't really shake is the fact that, man, there are no release dates for any games. And on top of that, we don't really have anything lined up. Like I said, I've been talking about this for the past couple streams, but the more I think about it, the more strange I think it is, where it's like, dude, Sony, they don't really have what seems to be. I'll put it to you this way. When we look at 2024 and we were kind of mapping out like what games do they have as console exclusives for 2024, there was a lot we knew about. There was quite a bit lined up. Not everything was lined up, but there was a lot. And I feel like we're in kind of we're in the other boat here, where like now we know there's some bigger heavy hitter games coming throughout 2025 for Sony, but we don't actually know anything about the gameplay. We don't know anything about the release dates. We don't know much at all. So it's an awkward situation, I think, with PlayStation, where overall I am feeling pretty confident. I'm feeling confident that this year will be a better year than 2024 was. And I'm feeling confident that at the very least, even if it's the only two like major games we get from Sony, Ghost of Yote and Death Stranding 2 will turn out to be some of the best games that release in 2025, alongside many other third-party titles, right? But I also get this sense after what happened in 2024, I think that there's like some, if not nervousness, some cynicism as well when it comes to PlayStation. PlayStation feels no pressure to release anything, enjoy winning. Well, it'll be fascinating to see, man. People talk about, look, we talk about competition, right? The lack of competition. Microsoft still has a lot of games. If there's one area where I think Microsoft could still compete with Sony, it's just with the sheer amount of studios and games that they may have. So it's a situation where, like, who knows what they'll have lined up. A lot of people think that Microsoft's pipeline of games is going to be potentially the strongest it's ever been for 2025. You know, it's like basically the strongest Xbox lineup ever, for real this time, though. If that's true, then, you know, I would imagine that puts a little bit of pressure on Sony, but I don't know. If most of those games release on PS5, maybe not. Maybe not. I think if anything, Sony just needs to, I think when it comes to Ghost of Yote and Death Stranding 2, I don't think there's too much to worry about there. I'll be honest. I think that those games are both probably a lock. they're going to do well. I think that really it's games like Marathon, you know, something like that I think Sony might have to be a little bit worried about, or fair games like we discussed. Wasn't Wolverine initially planned to release in 2025? That was the rumor. People were talking about Wolverine potentially coming in 2025, but it seems pretty clear that Wolverine's not going to be ready for release till sometime in 2026, I think at the earliest. I think that's been pretty clear. I think we could see Wolverine this year. I'd be kind of surprised if we didn't see Wolverine at all. But what will be Sony's live service games for 2025? I mean, we're talking about, I would say, 2 live service games. Right now, this is basically what I see. Sony has 2 live service games and 2 single player games set to release for 2025. The live service games are Fair Games and Marathon. The single player games are Ghost of Yote, Death Stranding 2. I'm not feeling too excited about the live service games. I'm interested, not feeling excited, though, truthfully. You wonder what Ember Lab's been doing? Yeah, we haven't heard from them in a while. Saying Doom the Dark Ages is the real big game. Yeah, Doom could be pretty big this year, I think. I think it could be pretty big. I think there's a lot of hype for it, honestly. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Thank you. There is another, I would say, relatively big PlayStation console exclusive that's coming out this year. Lost Soul aside, they did confirm that that game is set to launch in 2025, and it does look pretty good. That's a China Hero Project title. That's been in development for a long time. And they did just recently put out a trailer confirming that's coming out this year. So I would say that that's a pretty significant one. If it ends up being as good as it looks, I think that would be a significant one. Marvel Rivals proved live service can still be done right. I played a little bit of them. I think I played a little bit of the first one that came. I forget what year that came out. I played a little bit of it. Never got. I didn't get too deep into it, so I don't. That's the thing. Like Doom: The Dark Ages, it does look really good, but I can't. I honestly can't call myself a Doom fan, which is weird because I feel like even I feel weird about that because it's like I'm pretty sure I'd love Doom. Like I did play a little bit of it, and I did like what I played of it quite a bit. I don't know. I have kind of like weird stories like that with certain games where it's like I pick them up, I play them for a little bit, and I do like them, but for some reason, for one reason or another, I just don't like. I never see it through and like play the entire game, and I don't know if it's like short attention span sometimes or what, but maybe I'll have to. I don't know. I do think Doom: The Dark Ages looks really interesting. I do wonder. I do wonder if that's going to be like a game that comes out in the first half of this year. Yeah, that's the soundtrack was from what I've heard, because I've heard some of the music, really good, and I'm like, man, I really gotta get on this. Happy New Year, Jakey Stee. You got used to the cadence in which Insomniac releases games, so it seems like forever between announcements of Wolverine and its release. I mean, I don't think you're the only one who feels that way to a degree because, I mean, when we were talking about Wolverine in like 2022 and 2023, some people were under the impression that the game might even be ready by 2024. And yeah, you can't really blame people for thinking that because Insomniac is like, yo, here's Spider-Man 2018, and then here's Miles Morales 2 years later. Oh, and then here's Ratchet and Clank, by the way. Oh, and also here's Spider-Man 2. So, I mean, we're talking about back to back to back games in just a matter of like a 5 year cycle. I couldn't really blame anybody for, you know, looking at Wolverine and thinking, yeah, that game's like Insomniac probably only needs like 2.5 years for that game or 3. But it does seem like they were building it from the ground up. And because of that, it's going to need quite some time. I mean, if you think about it, the game was announced in September of 2021. If it were to come out like November 2026, I mean that's a 5 year development cycle. That's pretty standard, I would say, for AAA games. Otacon, you're saying I'm curious for this year. I guess you're trying to say you're curious if this year is going to be exciting because in that aspect it feels like we're more in the dark than 2024. See, I would say there's a big difference here where like going into 2024, we didn't know about any like bigger tentpole titles from PlayStation. And they revealed early in the year, they were like, we don't have any tentpole titles for 2024. We don't have any like big AAA tentpole titles. I feel like the biggest difference going into 2025 is we know of like at least 2, maybe 3. I don't know if we count Marathon, but we know of 2. So I would make the argument that we are looking automatically at a stronger year for PlayStation in 2025 than 2024, just by the simple fact that we have 2 AAA tentpole games that we know are coming this year, compared to this time last year, there were 0. So there may not be like a timed exclusive ready to go in February or March, or, Marathon might not be ready to launch in the first 4 or 5 months of this year, but I guess it just kind of depends on your view, right? People complained in 2024 about Sony and their games lineup by basically being like, they don't have any big games. And there was a kind of a big I don't know if you want to call it controversy, but disagreements, a lot of disagreements throughout 2024 when people would talk about Sony's lineup, because it was like they don't have any of the big exciting games, like it's Helldivers, it's Rise of the Ronin, it's more remasters, more remakes, and something tells me that we're looking at a year where we're going to have at least 2 big tentpole titles coming out this year, but people are still going to complain. You know what I mean? Where it's like, and I get it's just how it's going to go. But I would make the argument that people who go to PlayStation for the big exciting games have more to look forward to in 2025 than they did in 2024. There were amazing games that dropped in 2024, like Astro Bot and FF7 Rebirth, but I do agree that we are still in the dark. We don't know a lot. This is just kind of how Sony operates now. They play everything very close to the chest. They only reveal stuff when they feel like they're ready, and only then. They're not. It is true. It seems like they're operating as if they don't have any pressure to do anything in earnest. Death Stranding 2 is officially lined up for 2025. Yeah, it's officially lined up. Leia, you were just begging to come in here. What do you want from a Spider-Man game, though? Only so much room in terms of gameplay. The missions design needed to be better, though. I mean, it'll be really interesting. I don't know how far out. I can only assume it's pretty far out. A game like Spider-Man 3, but mm, you think we're only going to get one major release from PlayStation in 2025? I don't think so, man. Well, I guess do you count I count Death Stranding 2 as a major release from PlayStation. I think we're going to get at least two major ones. At least two. Is Death Stranding 2 a big title? I mean, Sony treats it as a big title. Will Death Stranding 2 sell well? I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it has a chance to do decently well, like well enough. 5 million sold maybe, 4 million, something like that. I don't know if Death Stranding 2 is like a 10 million seller. I don't think so. But I think Sony will treat it with that level of like this is a big game that we're going to launch for PS5. Is a Kojima game a big title? I mean, I think generally speaking people do view Death Stranding 2 as a big game. But I don't think it has the type of selling power. And I don't think it has the type of like I guess you could say more mainstream appeal as some of Sony's other games. 2 to 3 million in sales. I think a lot of people are on the fence with something like Death Stranding 2, where I think they were not really too thrilled about the gameplay of Death Stranding 1. And so I think there's going to be a kind of I don't know, I guess a bit of I don't know if pressure is the right word to use, but there might be a little bit of pressure placed on Death Stranding 2 when we see the gameplay for the first time where it's like I think Kojima's aware that people were expecting a little bit more, at least with what was shown, a little bit more traditional type of gameplay, a little bit more action oriented, or you know, not just a focus on kind of like delivering stuff and just occasionally running into enemies. Um, it does seem like there's going to be a potentially a greater emphasis on some action in this sequel. And so I think maybe they have a plan in where they're going to try to show off the gameplay in a way in which it maybe wins people over. People who are questioning the first game and its gameplay. That's my assumption anyway. No PlayStation Live Service games will release this year. I'd be surprised. That would shock me. Saying Kojima's overrated. Watch a weird French movie and it feels like the same as Kojima's storytelling structure. Some people do feel like Hideo Kojima's overrated, but I mean, I think it's safe to say that he's proven he's a good at the very least, right? Like overrated, underrated. I think we can all agree he's proven he's a good video game developer and director. Like he has some interesting, unique ideas, and I mean, for me personally, I love Kojima's work with the Metal Gear Solid series. That to me is what I really think of when I think of Hideo Kojima. I do think Death Stranding is basically Kojima just in this area, in the space of like you can do whatever you want, and because of that, I think it was the most strange, bizarre, fascinating, and it's just a kind of roller coaster of just craziness. I can't really keep up with everything that's going on, but I kind of like it. And actually, the more I play it and the more I experience, the more I like it. Um, but but I do understand that like some people, I think some people do feel like Kojima is, you know, he's given too much credit, and I get that. And OK comes in and drops a single membership gift. Thank you for that, OK. I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate you contributing here and showing some support to the channel. That brings us to 85. So I don't know why this thing is bugging out today. I think Ghost of Yote, on the other hand, Ghost of Yote is going to be. I think that's the game I'm more excited about, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. It's a bit of a tie. It's a bit of a tie between Ghost of Yote and Death Stranding 2. I just think that with Ghost of Yote, um, I'm just so excited to see what Sucker Punch is planning on doing. Kind of a low energy day. I mean, I'll be honest, I am a little bit drained today. I'm a little bit drained. We did like a 2.5 hour stream for members earlier with Morning with the Misses. So I'm definitely a little bit more tired. Not just because of that, but because I've just been it's been a rough week, you know. I'm exhausted. The stream's probably going to be on the shorter side, but I just wanted to kind of close out the week as strong as I could. You're kind of digging the energy though. Well, that's good. That's good. Saying just now getting here, got to say the Sekiro award for a higher member goal than the Mrs. MBG reveal is crazy. It is. It is. I'm not saying I hope we don't hit it. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying if we do, I listen, man. Bringing Mrs. MBG on stream, that's not torture. Trying to force myself to play a game that I know I'm going to suck at and probably suffer through. Yeah, that's gonna be hard. Please don't screw up Ghost of Yote, Sucker Punch. Ghost of Yote is when it comes to the gameplay and the structure, I trust Sucker Punch wholeheartedly. I don't have any question at all that the gameplay and the structure of the game is going to be incredible. The open world, graphics. I think the only thing I'm not worried about, but I'm just so curious to see more is the story and this new character and the type of journey that we're going to be going on, because they definitely alluded to some things. They alluded to some things um in the first trailer they showed, but they still kept it very vague and they really didn't give much away. And there's clearly a lot we still don't know. And like I said, there are definitely people who are betting against it, and I have a feeling they're going to be wrong. But we won't know until we see it. But I'm very excited for it. I really liked that first trailer. I liked what they showed. You'll only suck if you don't try. You purchased the PS4 because Atlas didn't make Persona 5 for Xbox. Then later tried Ghost of Tsushima, best game on the PS4. That's interesting. Yeah, I agree. Ghost of Tsushima is easily one of the best games that came out last generation. Saying the best part of Ghost was the open world beauty. A new protagonist won't mess that up. Yeah. It's like I said, man. I don't want to keep focusing on it, but it was really I was just kind of shocked, you know. I'm sure that's not surprising to hear again, but I was kind of shocked at like when Ghost of Yote was revealed, like just so many people were I just wasn't expecting that, you know. I even as I was like watching the trailer and then when I was done watching the trailer and then I like went to turn to see like what's being said on the internet just to see like people were so distressed about it and upset with it and I'm like, but it looks good, you know? Like it looks good. Not saying it really matters what other people think. It's just strange when you're anticipating a game reveal like that for like years. And you know, my assumption is like it's only going to go one way, and that is that everybody's going to be excited about this cuz well, I mean, it's Sucker Punch, you know, it's another Ghost game. Everybody wanted more Jin. I mean, I do understand that aspect of it, and it does make me wonder if we're going to have any references or anything like I said in this game, but I was a little bit like, wow, you know, there's a lot of people who want more Jin, which I think is cool. I would also like to get more Jin Sakai if that's something they want to do. Cool if they don't want to, but there were people who were just like, nah, dude, this game's gonna suck, and Sony sucks, and it's like, oh, hmm, a lot has changed. A lot has changed since the time Ghost of Tsushima launched. Do you expect Yote's world to be even better? Tsushima's world was a tad bit generic. I mean, I imagine that we're going to see a more refined open world. I think that Tsushima's open world was very, very good. I do agree that there were some aspects of the open world in terms of how you engage with it and the stuff that you're kind of checking off your list to complete on that open world. Some of that was generic, and I imagine we're going to get a lot of that in the sequel as well. Like the general structure will stay the same, but I also do imagine that they learned a lot in the development of Ghost of Tsushima, you know, and they're going to be able to, like I said, refine it and extract even more out of this. Like, I think we're going to be able to get more out of this world the second time around, or this, you know, location, I should say. And I would hope so, right? I mean, they've been working on this game for quite some time. Every time a development team is making a sequel, they're looking to one up themselves and do even better than the first time. MBG, I have a different take on this. I think game development takes so long, people just want the characters they are familiar with. If game dev cycles were shorter, more games would allow for a variety of characters. That's an interesting theory. I actually haven't heard that one before, or an interesting take, I should say. There might be some truth to that. Yeah, there might be because it's like you talk about Ghost of Tsushima. It's like you wait years for the sequel announcement, and you assume like, of course, it's going to be Jin Sakai. Like he's a new mascot practically for PlayStation, and then it's just not. I can understand why some people, if that's really what they were expecting, like truly 100%, why they would be caught off guard. But if it's like Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yote was announced, 2 years after Ghost of Tsushima, and it came out 3 years after Tsushima released, maybe the reaction would be a little bit different. Did MBG see that Soundgarden got a new vocalist? No, I didn't hear about this. Who's the new lead singer for Soundgarden? Ghost of Yote's trailer gave you Red Dead Redemption 2 vibes in a weird way. You think there will be a lot more variety with the world and activities? Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too a little bit. I mean, the vibe of Ghost of Yote was very, very different from the vibe of from the vibe of Ghost of Tsushima. Big box. That's not true, dude. I reacted to that in the members lounge. Big box. Yeah, that was a tragedy, bro. I don't want to think about it. That would have been a great troll though. If I didn't know what you were talking about, that would have been a great troll. That would have been a great troll, but not good, man. Less than 1% were likely expecting a complete protagonist change in Ghost of Tsushima 2, which is why it was so out of left field. I don't know if I agree with that, only because people talked about Ghost of Tsushima being so similar to Assassin's Creed. Like that was a thing that a lot of people said, like it's Sony's Assassin's Creed basically, but better. I feel like that on a subconscious level probably had some people expecting this. Not, I do agree. I think the percentage is lower. I don't think it's less than 1%. I think it's like maybe 25%, 20 to 25% of people. 75% of people were probably expecting, they were probably still expecting, to play as Jin. But the way people talked about Ghost of Tsushima, like it's Sony's version of Assassin's Creed, and considering Assassin's Creed always gets a new protagonist every time, I think that some people were actually not caught off guard. And they were like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense. Yeah. We have Oliver Opfer coming in. What's up, Oliver? Good to see you here, man. He comes in, he re-ups his membership. He comes back to Greatness Awaits. Oliver, thank you so much for that, man. We're doing a lot of members content. We just did a 2.5 hour long morning with the missus today. So please go check that out. We've been doing some interesting members content. I'm quite drained, I'm not going to lie. Somebody says, wow, I was just gifted a membership and I wasn't even in the live. Thanks, guys. You got a kind of funny membership, too. Well, there you go, man. Keep getting member gifts. Wait, Gaming Survivor, what are you talking about? What did you just notice? Oh, okay. The mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's for all the channel members who tune into the morning with the missus. Jin Sakai story ended well. There's no way to make a game with him as a protagonist. And Corey the Legend Landiga comes in and drops a 10 bomb on you guys. Corey joins us once again, and he has more membership gifts to deliver with a tenner. Thank you so much for that, Corey. Really appreciate that, bro. I'm glad you've been able to tune into the members content recently, too. So I'll add that to the counter here. Corey, I was telling everybody that we got to put Boss on a little bit of a diet, man. I can still give him some treats, but I got to literally like give him, I got to like count it, maybe like 4 or 5 treats. Oh my God, he hears me talking about it. Because he needs to lose a little bit of weight. He needs to lose a little bit of weight. He's starting to get too big. But that does bring us up to 97. So thank you for that, buddy. You're usually at work and you end up missing the live streams while you're off today. Well, I'm glad you could join, man. I'm sorry if the energy's a little bit low today. I think I underestimated my like how much energy I was going to have today because I don't know. I've been putting a lot into the channel recently and I've also been not getting a lot of sleep and I think for a little bit there I was running purely off of adrenaline and I think it's catching up with me. I mean like I'm drinking coffee now and it just feels like it's not even doing anything. So I'm gonna have to later today and tomorrow. I'm gonna have to rest up. I'm gonna have to rest up good. And we have Mario coming in. Mario Hugh Ho Hio. I don't know. Ho. I think it's Ho, right? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm gonna call you Mario. He comes in. He drops a 5 bomb. So that's 15 memberships gifted between Corey and Mario. Thank you guys so much. Also, I believe I think this is your first time dropping membership gifts, man. So shout out to you for doing that. Always like to see new people dropping some gifts. You're drinking coffee, sleeping at your desk. Does anybody ever get like tired after drinking coffee? It doesn't even feel like a crash. It just feels like you're legitimately tired now. So we crossed the 100 member mark already. I did roll over the members. I'm sure you guys noticed, but I rolled over the members that were gifted for the first 2 days, or at least from the 97 or 79 that were left over from hitting the last goal. I did roll them over into the new goal. Boss Man, you're saying PlayStation is mediocre now. What makes you say that though? Why do you know? It's interesting. Why I wonder why so many people feel that way. I see that people seem to be very unimpressed with PlayStation anymore, and I wonder what changed. Because from my perspective, I don't really think that much changed. You know, there's still like this type of anger and animosity that certain groups of people have towards PlayStation, and I just don't understand it. Smurf, you're saying you only indulge in caffeine once per week. You get a genuine buzz from it. Interesting. Yeah, I can't imagine having caffeine once a week. I have it every day. I'm addicted. No princess goal. No princess goal. Titus with the super chat says, "We know why you're low energy, man. It's okay. And even if we don't say it, we're thinking about it and you." Well, I thank you so much for that, Titus. Yeah, I really appreciate that, bro. It means a lot. Yeah, we had a pretty intimate members lounge yesterday. It was a heavy one. So shout out to everybody who was hanging out with me there. For those who are, yeah, you probably know why I'm particularly low energy today. So thank you for that, Titus. Think PlayStation leadership is a mess. I think I don't know yet. I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. I think we are having a bit of a like I think we're still seeing a bit of a transition and I think that's kind of what's awkward. Some things are just seemingly in limbo. But some people are definitely not feeling Herman Holst. But I think it's too early to tell, man. I think it's too early to tell. I think we got to see how Sony is going to continue to pivot, which directions they're going to pivot in, I should say. I think we're going to get a lot of insight into 2025. So when we talk about like how are we feeling about PlayStation going into 2025, one of the things that I am feeling is that we're going to get some serious insight for the first time into some of Sony's long-term plans. I do think that that's something that's going to happen, and I'm feeling pretty confident in that because it. I mean, we're we're getting. I mean, we are closer to this generation ending than I think. Not that we realize, but it feels weird. It feels like we're nowhere near like the end of this generation, but this generation has been strange, kind of all over the place, and it has also, I would say, been in some ways underwhelming, in other ways maybe kind of impressive. It just really depends on where you're looking. But generally speaking, people I think feel like something's just a little off. You know what I mean? Something has just been a little bit off about this generation, and it hasn't quite gotten. It just hasn't really stabilized yet. Feels like a bit of a lull state with PlayStation where the pendulum is not swung enough to show what the future looks like yet. Yeah, I would say that's a good way to describe it. A bit of a lull. I think there's plenty to watch. I think, or not watch, sorry. I'm reading the chat while I'm talking. It happens sometimes. There's plenty to play. There's plenty to watch too, but there's plenty to play. I think that there's going to be an overwhelming amount to play over the course of 2025 for a lot of people. But somebody said earlier that they feel like 2025 is really the first year, or it seems like it's kind of all been building up to this year where it's like we're finally going to feel like this is it. We're reaching the peak of this generation. And I think we could be looking at that. I think we could be. But right now it's still kind of calm. The waters are still calm, you know? So I think that there's still going to be that kind of unease as long as the water remains calm. Bossman Davey 1980, thank you for the $10 super chat, buddy. Excuse me. You're saying, aside from sales, what absolute bangers has PS5 produced since its release? PlayStation fans have been asking for games like Killzone, SOCOM, New Jack and Daxter, etc., but instead Concord and BS. Well, the only problem I have with the question you're asking, Bossman Davey, is that you listed a couple things. You asked the question, what bangers have they produced since the PS5 came out? But then you list games that people have been asking for, like Killzone and SOCOM, which is not a problem. People do want those games, and they have been asking. And then you end it by mentioning Concord and BS. I think it's a bit unfair to disregard, like, pretty much, in this case, like all of the other games that Sony has actually released. Like, I will try to answer this question by basically saying, well, do games like Returnal and Ratchet and Clank and God of War Ragnarok and, Astrobot and Helldivers 2, surely these games have to count for something, right? Right? Like, I'm not trying to do the thing that a lot of fanboys online like to do, where it's like, I'm going to show you the longest list and make it seem like, it's the greatest list ever created of like, I'm not trying to do that, but I am saying, like, surely these games do have to count for something. What about Demon's Souls remake? What about Miles Morales? And we have Titus coming in, dropping another 5 bomb on you guys. Another 5 memberships gifted. You guys definitely have a member train going today. Let me add that to the counter and tell you where we're at. So that brings us to 108. Thank you for that, Titus. And that brings us to 27 total members on the day, which is awesome to see. Thank you guys for that. And then Hellbound 1981 drops another 5 bomb. So that's 10 more memberships gifted. Guys, if you just got gifted a membership, please go check out some of the members' content when we're finished here and look forward to upcoming members' content. W's in the chat for these guys. Hellbound, thank you so much for that. I'll have to give Boss his 5 treats now. I'm going to wait a couple minutes, though. Just remind me. Hellbound, remind me in maybe 30 minutes or so. 20, 30 minutes. Remind me to give Boss his 5 treats because he's sleeping, and once I wake him up for those treats, he's going to be very upset that he's only getting 5. But Titus, Bossman Davey, I do want to continue to talk about your super chat, but Titus says here using his 12-month milestone chat. Thank you for the 12 months, buddy. You're saying, MBG, do you get a notification when someone upgrades their membership to a higher tier? Because I did it on the Morning with the Missus stream earlier, but it didn't see if it went through. I do, but only on regular streams. There seems to be something going on with the member streams where, from what I understand, in member only streams, the only member related things I can see are milestone chats. So you can't gift memberships in members only streams. And apparently I can't see if you actually upgrade your membership to a higher tier while I am in the member stream, the member only streams. So Titus, I do want to thank you for that, buddy, and I'm glad you brought it to my attention because I actually wouldn't have known. It did not notify me. I think if you upgraded it during a regular stream, I think it would have notified me. But really appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, we do have some people who are members at a higher tier, and they do that just simply to show a bit of extra support on a month-to-month basis. So Titus, really, really means a lot, man. You guys are awesome. I'm very thankful to have this community here. And that I forgot to add Hellbounds here. So we're 113. So, I mean, look, the goal this month is pretty massive, but we have we're only on the third day of this month, and I think we're already making good progress. So, I believe in this community. I hope we get 1,490 memberships by February 1st, so I don't have to play Sekiro. But knowing you guys, I am gonna end up wearing this fucking clown cosplay, bro, playing Sekiro. You can thank Mrs. MBG for that idea, by the way. But Bossman Davey, just to kind of finish answering your super chat here, I mean, I feel like sometimes people downplay the games that Sony has released this generation. And I'm not saying that they're perfect. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that Horizon Forbidden West, GT7, I mean, 2022, right? 2022, it's like Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, GT7, and then the next year, Spider-Man 2. I mean, we're talking about like sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel. And I understand it's like, well, it's not necessarily as exciting as sometimes getting some new, bigger IP, right? And that can be true, but I just think it's unfair to basically be like, but those games don't count. Like, surely they count. Like, surely they count. Like, these were incredible games. These were extremely well-crafted games. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand how people could view that and be like, nah, bro. It's just Concord, you know what I mean? And but that's the thing, man. People do kind of view it that way, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Because I've been here. That's fine. I understand that. You're not the only one, Boss Man, Dave. You're saying, bro, I'll be fine. I'll be just fine if I never see another Horizon game. I understand that. Like, I'm not saying you should be like, oh, you know what? They did release Horizon Forbidden West, so duh, everything's great. No, I just mean, like, I think what my take on this, Boss Man Davey, is I think Sony has done a good enough job. Personally, I feel like they've done a good enough job this generation in terms of like, okay, we're going to have a solid launch lineup. We're going to have multiple games from our first party studios as well as partner studios for the next couple of years. But I do think what is lacking, and I'm telling you, man, I think what's lacking and what's missing from PlayStation right now is the same thing that's been lacking for the past couple of years. And it's the fact that they don't give a shit about hype anymore, man. Like, Sony people say Sony has gotten arrogant and complacent, and I don't see that except for in one area. There's only one area where I feel like Sony really has basically come out and been like, we just don't give a shit. And that is, they don't care whether there's hype or not. Like, they don't care if they have if half the people who are talking about the brand are saying bad things about it. They don't care. They're not doing anything actively to, they're not doing anything to actively try to change that. They're just doing what they're going to do. And some people are totally fine with it. Some people are indifferent to it. Some people absolutely can't stand it. But I would consider myself somebody who is paying very close attention to the way people talk about, the brand and the platform. And I get I guess you could say I get a diverse set of opinions where I get everything from, I think this is the best PlayStation has ever been. I'm having the most fun on PlayStation I've ever had. I get everything from that to, I think PlayStation is legitimately a joke, and I hate them. I get everything in between as well. So it's difficult for me to truly gauge what the truth is. And I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, where I think a lot of people have enjoyed this generation so far. I think a lot of people are looking forward to Sony or what PlayStation is going to have in 2025. But I also think that there are quite a few people, more than you would have expected, that are underwhelmed by this generation, that don't feel the same way about PlayStation anymore, that don't have that excitement, and are really beginning to lack interest. And that is something that I genuinely believe Sony is going to have to get a hold of sooner rather than later, because I think it's okay if they have a bit of a lull period where it's like, okay, you're in a very comfortable position. You don't have to, immediately do anything. There's no sense of urgency. You're doing fine. Everything's fine, right? Like I said, the water's calm and you're just kind of flowing with it, and there are no problems. But I do think there is something looming, and that is that if PlayStation if they lose too much control of the narrative and they let kind of like false narratives, which this has happened, unfortunately, like begin to spin out of control. And at the same time, they don't really try to generate that next level type of hype and excitement, even if it is a bit exaggerated at times. If they don't do that either, I mean, I've been seeing it, man. Like I got to tell you this, and I know that this is a little bit, I mean, I don't know. It's not necessarily relevant to the super chat that I'm responding to. I think it is to a degree, and maybe you'll understand like where I'm putting these two things together. But you guys just saw the whole situation that unfolded with Black Myth Wukong, right? And it's like Sony could Sony could shut a lot of people up very, very swiftly and very easily. But they're not. And because of their silence, because of their refusal to acknowledge what's being said and what's going on, it allows it to fester, where it's like, it is abundantly clear. It has been made abundantly clear. If you have any sense whatsoever, if you have any common sense and you know anything about the video game industry, if you know an inkling about the video game industry, there is no exclusivity deal for Black Myth Wukong with Sony. There is none. That's not a thing. This game, Sony did not pay to make this game an exclusive game. They didn't. Like, that is just painfully obvious. But because Sony will not come out and say, we did not pay, we did not strike an exclusivity deal with this studio for this game, because they won't say that, it is allowed to fester, like I said, and you continue to see people. It's like, well, if Sony didn't say it, then how do we know? Game Science didn't deny it, so how do we know? Meanwhile, Game Science is over here saying, yeah, we're trying to develop the game for Xbox. Like we've been working on it. But you still see the narrative spin out of control where it's like, but what if there is a deal? We don't know, dude. Nobody said anything, so how do we know? And it's like, it's frustrating because it's like, Sony, you're making it difficult for, like, not just for yourself, but for anybody who's trying to, like, you know, not just seek the truth, but like present common sense. It's not Sony's job, to be clear. And I know I'm projecting that on them, but I think that this is part of the problem, man. Where like they just don't give a shit. Like, oh, look, everybody thinks we struck a secret exclusivity deal and they hate us for it. Look at all those videos being made. Look at all those headlines being written. Yeah, we could just tell them. We could just stomp it out now, but I don't give a shit. I'm just going to go, I'm just going to go count my money. And that to me has been kind of a theme with Sony this generation that I think is beginning. It's not beginning, but slowly but surely it's like death, not death. I don't want to throw these like exaggeratory terms out here, but the saying death by 1,000 cuts, I feel like the cuts are starting to add up where it's like, Sony, look, man, I know it's not that big of a deal, and I know you have bigger fish to fry, and I know that, you're just worried about the business side and doing your thing, but I do think Sony should get more comfortable, especially because of how insane things have become these days. Where it's like people literally make shit up and it becomes true. It's not actually true, but you wouldn't know it because they just make it up and people run with it and nobody stops it. And I just think Sony, because Microsoft is good at this, by the way, or at least they've been much better at it than Sony has, where when shit starts to get out of hand with Microsoft, sometimes it does backfire on them, but more often than not, they are like, they're out here trying to say something to be like, no, hold on. They're trying to control the narrative. I'm not saying it always works in their favor, but I would say more often than not it does. And if they didn't try to control the narrative, I think the narrative would start to spin. I think that happened to Microsoft multiple times in the past. So I don't understand why Sony is taking this approach of just, yeah, we'll just let the bullshit fester. It, like, I almost start to think, like, does this benefit them in some way that I'm not aware of? Because I don't know why a company would just let this stuff continue to fester, knowing, like, dude, you're losing people over this. Like, you are actively losing people over this. I'm not saying it's a large amount of people, but I'm starting to notice, like, I'm just seeing it more often now where it's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not interested anymore. And I just can't help but think, like, a part of that definitely has to be that Sony is just like, they just kind of have this attitude of like, okay, we didn't even hear you say that. Like, we're not listening. There's a bit of tone. It seems like Sony's a bit tone deaf. And I'm not here to I'm not trying to make this like we're going to just shit on Sony and PlayStation stream. Cause I mean, to be honest, it's not they're delivering in the way that I think matters most, which is, hey, guess what? You have a PS5, you can buy Black Myth Wukong. Yeah. That's going to be releasing in the PlayStation Store. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, that is all that should matter to Sony. I'm trying to see it from their perspective where it's like, yeah, why the fuck would Sony care if there are people out here making up lies? When they're like, the only thing that matters to them is is this a game we can sell to our customers or not? Is this a game we can sell to anybody who buys a PS5 or not? Yes, it is. Okay. Then there's nothing else to be said. It's over. We're moving on to the next one. I totally get that. But it just seems like when we talk about the trenches of the internet and brand reputation and more, I would say, core brand reputation, not necessarily wider, more casual. I think that Sony has really lost a lot of ground needlessly. I don't think it's hard. I don't think that they have to do much, but I just think that they refuse to do anything. And and that's interesting. You're saying Sony's playing chess. Some people view it that way. I don't know that I view it that way. I don't think it's a matter of like, are they playing chess or checkers? I think it's like, I don't know what they're playing, dude. They made up their own game and they're playing it behind closed doors. I don't even know what they're playing. I have no idea what the rules could even be. I feel like that's how little I know. And it's like every now and again they like release like, here's one rule of the game we're playing. Oh, okay. So I know something. But I still have like I don't know. Like I don't know how they're playing this. I don't know what this game is. I know a couple rules of this game because Sony told me what they are. But when it comes to the bigger picture of like, do you understand the game that we're playing? Can you see it in full? No, I can't. I have no idea. And I think I don't know. I can only assume that the people who are marketing at Sony, like they're doing this intentionally, and I think again, there must be some kind of secret hidden benefit. Is it the whole thing of bad publicity is good publicity? Yeah, Planet Schlurping, you're saying it's more social media companies' responsibility to keep their own houses in order, but they don't because people are angry and divided. It's easier than regulating what is and isn't allowed to fly. Yeah, I mean, I try to imagine like if I was working as a PlayStation executive or whatever internally at the company, like would I give a shit at all about like, did you see these videos that these random people made? Did you see this thread that got hundreds of thousands of views on whatever or hundreds of thousands of clicks? I would say, and this is how I would operate truthfully, where it's like I'm not involved in any of that on a personal level. Like I'm just my job at my company that I'm working for is to just, you know, make sure you're making money and your customers are as happy as they can be. I would say I need to see the numbers. I need to see the numbers. Show me the bottom line. Because if it like this is either is it talk? Is it bark and bite or is it just all bark no bite? And I feel like this is where I'm just kind I got to be honest, I'm like perplexed that Sony's numbers have not fallen, like that they're not doing worse than they are. I'm perplexed only because the way I see people, the type of reputation that Sony has kind of garnered here and the fan base as well. It's like it's become so toxic. It's like I would think like, man, this company is on the fucking ropes, dude. And it's like, no, they're doing better than they ever have. It's like, what? Yep. Go figure. So it just goes to show, like, what do I know? What do I know, right? If you were Sony, you would leak stuff. Tired of being in the dark. Yeah. All of this only exists on the internet. The general public only enjoys playing games. Yeah. It's hard for me to not lose sight of that. It is because I mean, dude, I view everything through the lens of the internet. Not everything, but most things. You know, I'm here like I don't know, man. I'll give you this example. When I did my my PlayStation predictions the other day, I put I put I put a video out where I condensed all my predictions, and my predictions were not very positive, dude. Like I don't think they were overly negative, but they were not very positive either. They were just pretty chill predictions overall. A lot of stuff that I think seems fairly obvious. And like I'm not saying my comment section really matters either, but it was just fascinating to me that like there's just so much snark everywhere now. Where like I'm seeing a comment where somebody's like, here are my PlayStation predictions. Prediction number 1, more layoffs. Prediction number 2, like live service failures. And prediction number 3, PSVR 2 gets shut down or whatever, or like end support. And I'm like, and like a bunch of people agreed with it. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, I thought my predictions were bad. And that's what's weird, dude, is it's like, it's the opposite of interest or excitement. It's like, oh, I'm just expecting everything to be complete shit. Like complete and utter shit. And I'm like, who are you people? Why are you on my channel? Like, I mean that sincerely, where it's like, dude, there's no way you play on PlayStation. There's just no way you play on PlayStation. There has to be something, anything. Give me anything. You're saying like that isn't a sad industry truth. I mean, it is. And that's why ultimately I understand where it comes from, where it's like, yes, those are real things that have happened, except for the PSVR 2 thing. These are things that have happened and likely will continue to happen to a degree, but it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just the way of humans, man. It's human nature, where it's like, not everything's bad. There's actually a lot of things that are really good. But because there are some bad things, because not everything is perfect, we just need to really focus on the things that are not good and not really pay as much attention to the things that are good. Like, I don't know, maybe that's just a societal thing these days, where it's like, yeah, like it's cool to be pessimistic, or it's expected to be pessimistic. And I think this happens to me too. I get very pessimistic, very cynical, overly cynical at times. It's either a masterpiece or dog shit. That mindset needs to end. Leaves no room for nuance. I do agree with that. Yeah. I hate that, dude. You know, one of the things I hate about going into 2025, and if I start to dwell into like negative territory, I'm sorry, but I just got to be honest. Is like, why have we like, I didn't think we would ever reach this point, man. And it's not universal, because like I said, not everything is bad. But some of the things that I've seen that I would consider bad, it's like, are you telling me, honestly, we've reached a point where the loudest, most obnoxious people in the fucking room are now the ones getting the most attention? Like, have we really fallen that far? Where this is what we're doing now? We've regressed, dude. We have fucking regressed. And I see it. I see it clear as day. And every day I feel like it's a fight to not fucking fall into that trap, because, dude, it is beginning to surround a lot of different aspects of our civilization and our society. And I just can't believe it. I'm like, dude, I know I don't have high expectations for humanity, bro. I don't have high expectations for us collectively, but we gotta be better than that. We gotta be better than that. But who knows? Maybe we're not. Maybe we never were. Maybe I just changed. Maybe it was always like this, and I'm just seeing it differently now. MBG, you don't matter outside of your tiny echo chamber to the rest of the gaming community. Well, I'm well aware of that, dude. What does matter, though? That's the question. I feel like I don't know if I ever operated that way, Jason. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know that I ever operated that I matter, or or what I say should matter. I don't know that I ever felt that. I think there were times where I did think that, like, based off of what I was seeing. Like there were times with like when The Last of Us 2 was launching where I was like, oh man, look at how many views I'm getting. Look at how many people are agreeing. But it didn't matter. Like whether my voice was there or not didn't matter in the grand scheme. It didn't, and it wouldn't have. Just like it doesn't now. But you're saying sometimes I think you care too much, if that makes any sense. Yeah, maybe that is what it is. That could be it at the end of the day. Because I think about it, I'm like, what if I could just stop caring about certain things? It's hard to imagine that because it's like, well, I can't because I care, but maybe you're right. Okay, you're saying this has been obvious to many forever. Authors have written about it for decades. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think like it's just something it's always been this way. And I just maybe, I don't know. I just kind of woke up to it one day and I'm like, oh shit. Was it always like this? It's like, yeah. You know, it's like the astronaut holding the gun behind the other astronaut. Like, was it always like this? It's like, yep, always has been. That's what it feels like. Without consequences. They're miserable and really have nothing better to do than antagonize without consequences. Yeah. I think that's one thing the internet has changed is that I think what we see on the internet today, it has always existed, but I think more and more people are waking up to the truth that I can do this and not get in trouble. I don't have to worry about anything bad happening. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Because when I see the behavior of people online, I'm like, dude, you would not speak, you wouldn't do this to somebody in person. And if you did, you'd be ready for some shit to go down. You know what I mean? Like the adrenaline would start pumping because shit's about to go down. But when you remove that, it's like, no, I'm protected. I can say whatever I want, however I want, to anybody I want. And you can't do nobody can do anything. You might argue that you get the most honesty. You get one of the most honest, raw takes from a person, but I also think that it makes it too easy for you to just kind of overstep a line or a boundary that it was always meant to be there because that's how humans were supposed to interact. We're supposed to interact. I mean, I say this understanding the irony that I'm speaking to a chat right now, but it's like you're supposed to interact face to face. You know what I mean? Like in person. And it's not like people haven't behaved this way in person. It's just that a lot of times, people who would behave that way in person to another, it's like they usually would end up getting their face smashed in or something, or just something bad would usually happen to them because, well, it would depend on who they were confronting that way. But I don't know. It's like maybe that can be a good thing, right? I'm viewing it through like the glass half empty, but maybe that can be a good thing in that if more people can speak their truth without fear of, getting punched in the face, maybe we get more honesty in the world. But is that a good thing if the truth is most people are stupid, arrogant, or miserable? And so because of that, maybe we don't want more honesty. Maybe we do want a little bit of like, can you not? Can you just not? Because you're making things worse. I don't know. It's a whole philosophical conversation that I'm not trying to necessarily turn it into, but I guess it's already here. See some of you guys mentioning Asmongold. I actually don't watch him. I've only come across random clips from Asmongold on Twitter and stuff. So I have no idea. Like, I can't speak. To be honest, I don't really watch anybody anymore. Truthfully, I just don't watch anybody anymore. And I'm just like, my focus is trying to remove myself from Twitter, which I can't do. I don't know why. Like, that's like the end boss for me, dude. Is detaching myself from Twitter. It's hard to overstate how vastly different the interaction and vibe was not that long ago before the proliferation of the internet. If you were around in the 80s and 90s, you feel it. Yeah. Mm. It's strange, man. I just, why do I feel like Death Stranding 2 is basically going to be a commentary on, was it a good idea? Was the internet a good idea? Because I don't know why that just like sparked that in my mind, where I think the tagline for Death Stranding 2 is like, should we have connected? You know, like you spend the whole game in Death Stranding 2019 trying to reconnect the world, and then it's like, you know what? Maybe this was a mistake. I bet you that's exactly what the commentary is going to be, dude. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. You know the whole blue box thing definitely had Kojima doing some rewrites for Death Stranding 2. You know that definitely caused some rewrites. That's funny. You're saying Blue Sky is worse than Twitter. Everybody was saying it was better, though. Now it's worse. What's going on? Is it just bad anywhere you go? I mean, I grew up with the early internet, you know? And it is interesting to think that even the early internet, if you compare it to where we are now, it's unrecognizable. Early 2000s internet, 2024, 2025 internet, it's just what happened, man. I always feel weird, like, crap talking the internet, though, because here I am. You know what I mean? I'm here. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Dial-up connection. Anybody remember AIM? Blue Sky is full of people mad at Twitter. Okay. Yikes. Yeah, man. I'm telling you. Listen, I'm telling you. One of these months, this year, it's gonna be the first of a month. September, June, December, it doesn't matter. But the first of a month this year, you're gonna tune into my stream and you're gonna see the goal. Whatever, we're gonna have a member goal, and the reward is gonna be I delete my Twitter. I'm telling you, that's what's one of these months. That's what the goals reward's gonna be. That's more for me than you, but I think it will benefit you guys too. I think it will, but that's gonna happen. Where can MBG go where everyone is positive? I don't want everybody to be positive. I'm not, dude, I'm not that positive of a person. In fact, I think I need to be more positive of a person. Not forced. It has to be genuine, but in terms of like putting effort in like not seeing things through such a dimly lit view of like everything sucks. Hit kindergarten. I want to go back. Take me back to kindergarten, man. You're saying don't kid yourself. It's been 2 years of you saying this. No, dude, I'm telling you that here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about it, dude. If we were to hit a member goal where the promise was I will delete my Twitter, like permanently. It's gone. It's erased. I would not, like, I do have honor, you know. I would not back out of that where it's like, yeah, no, I'm committing to that. For real. You know, because people paid money to support the channel. They paid money to see this goal, to get to this goal. If we did it, I would commit to it. It would, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it would help me a lot. Like to have that kind of, extra padding, I guess you could say, of like, hey man, you got people counting on you here. That sometimes people need that, and I think that would help me in that case. Don't let them down, bro. Then I would just be ashamed to be on Twitter. Every time I would be on Twitter after that, it's like I made a promise and I lied. I've dishonored myself. I've disgraced myself. 40K membership goal to delete Twitter for the entire year. Dude, that's a crazy goal. That's a crazy goal, man. I think that's too much. That's very true, Titus. Yeah. See, I'm glad you see that. Because I think there's a lot of truth to that. You're saying, wouldn't that hurt your business overall? You have a lot of followers. Actually, no. Believe it or not, okay. It seems that way. I would think the same thing, truthfully, and I thought that for a long, long time. I don't know if anybody noticed. Like, I don't share my videos on Twitter anymore, at all, because I remember I did that for years. I always shared my videos on Twitter, and one day I went deep into my analytics on YouTube because I was curious, and I was like, how many people come to my videos from Twitter? It was less than 0.01%, dude. And I had like 50,000 followers. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, what? I was like, how is that possible? I was like, that is... I couldn't believe it. I'm like, that can't be right. But it was. And I was like, dude, this is doing nothing for my channel. Nobody's coming to my channel through Twitter at all. Even when I like post my videos, I'm like, please go watch my video. They're like, nah. Okay, well, it just, it calls into question, like, well, how is this benefiting me? The only thing I can think when it comes to Twitter benefiting me is like, and I've tried to do this before, but it's pretty difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Clipping myself, putting clips out there for my streams. It's just very difficult to do that because I'm already trying to like balance all the content here on YouTube, and then that requires extra editing. And, then there's a whole like mindset of like, what do I want to clip? How many things should I clip? If I clip this, should I also clip that? And it just becomes a whole thing where it's like, man, maybe I'll just focus on just this, just streaming and making videos. But X is diabolical now. It is. It's bad. It's bad, dude. X is fucking bad. It's real bad. I understand why people, as somebody who's still on there, like, I do understand why people still use it, but I don't know. Like, is there anybody who actually thinks it's good? I mean, like, is there anybody who's like, Twitter's done a good thing for me? Like, leaving money on the table? I mean, yeah, maybe. I'll be honest, man. Like, if we're talking about money, there have been times where I feel like I've left a lot of money on the table. But it's because it's just I don't know. I view the machine that is our society. We live in a society. I view the machine that is this society that we're born into, the system we're born into. I view it as it's just a rat race. It's a rat race that was created by people who, for some reason, had power to make decisions and create rules and guidelines and say this is how it will be, and you'll just fall into it, and you'll have no say over it and no control over it. And so we, the rat race is real, dude. Where it's just like, guess what, buddy? If you choose to slow down, and if you choose to slow down because of your own principles, your own morals, don't expect anybody. Don't just make sure you get the fuck out of the way, or you're gonna get trampled. Get out of the way and understand that nobody gives a shit that you're slowing down. Nobody gives a shit that you're standing on your morals or your principles. You just got to worry, like, if it, all that matters is how much it matters to you, because it's not going to matter to anybody else. Not nearly as much as it's going to matter to you. And to expect that, you're going to get burned badly. And one of the biggest things I've learned in doing YouTube and, being on the internet and having influence to a degree, or at least not a lot of influence, but just realizing, like, experiencing what it's like at moments to actually have influence, to be able to actually, like, wow, I have a lot of reach here, a lot of people are interested in what I have to say and whatnot. If there's one thing that I've learned, is that if you're not willing to do whatever it is you would need to do to go up the next step, somebody will. Like, whatever's holding you back, whatever's stopping you, just understand that there's somebody standing right behind you that's like, are you going to get out of the way? Because they'll do it in a heartbeat. And I think that this is just something that everybody throughout life, they kind of just begin to learn that, like, that's just the way of the world, bro. That's the rat race. It's like, you got to make sure you do what you do for you first. Because if you ever do it if you do things for any other reason, and I don't mean that in like a purely selfish way, I mean that in a more deeper, meaningful way of, like, understand why you do what you do. Because if you don't, you're gonna be left sitting in the fucking dirt, confused, and probably in a lot of pain. Trappy Driz, nice name, buddy. Using his milestone chat, says that's some real shit. It is. It is some. I agree. It is some real shit. It is some real shit, man. Exactly. Yeah. Mike Tyson knows. There's a good Mike Tyson video where he looks at all his belts and says they're useless. Yeah, dude. I remember when I saw that video, I'm like, holy shit. Dude, did you see the other video of Mike Tyson, by the way? There was this other video. I remember it went viral when it was close to the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, where there was like a little girl interviewing him. And if I remember correctly, she was basically asking him, like, how he feels about, like, his legacy and getting back in the ring. And I'll be honest, I think he got a little too dark, considering this was like a 12 or 13-year-old girl interviewing him. But holy shit, he was just like, this is all meaningless. Like, none of this matters. We live. There's no, like, legacy doesn't mean anything. We just live and we die, and the world moves on. And I'm like, ooh, all right. I mean, I agree, mostly, but goddamn, like, he savagely just dropped some reality bombs on a young child there. Yeah, dude, I agree. Mike Tyson can be very philosophical, and he's surprisingly philosophical, I would say. And that's one of my favorite clips ever, is when he's talking about his belts and he's like, these don't matter. It's like, he gets it, man. Like, he understands that, like, this, I mean, it can be dangerous to fall into that level of nihilism, and you have to proceed with caution. And I do think it is good to put meaning behind things for your own well-being, as you make your way through life. But yeah, man, it's like, I get it. I totally understand how somebody who wins those belts, who achieves that, they look at that, there's like, what do they really mean? What do they really mean? They only mean what you want them to mean. One person, Mike Tyson, ironically enough, the person who won those belts, he just sees them as like, they're just whatever, bro. They're just a useless pile of junk. Somebody else sees that as like one of the most coveted things they could ever come in contact with. So, very interesting to kind of see how vastly different the meaning is that we place on these things, across billions of people. Everybody has a different view on it. And that's what's interesting. Is like, when we talk about money, like, is money meaningless? I don't think so. No, I think you can view money as meaningless, but I think that is truly dangerous to do only because if you don't have the means to be completely self-sufficient living off the grid where you don't need money. Even then you would need a certain amount of money to acquire certain materials, you know what I mean? But if you don't have the means to do that or the skill, you're going to have to care about money, like to survive at the bare minimum. And I think when we talk about that, I don't think many people really want to survive with the bare minimum. I don't think people want to get that close to like, having to basically live on scraps or anything like that because it can be hard. It is hard, I mean, I've been in that position in my life and it does make you stronger as you get through it. It does build character. It does. It gives you strength. It teaches you some hard lessons, but it's hard and it whittles you down and it's tiring. And at some point you want to just feel some level of comfort, you know? And the truth is in the world, the way the world works is that's what money does. Money can do that. It can bring you a certain level of comfort that otherwise just can't be there. Um, but it can't do everything for you, you know? Money's not going to make you feel spiritually fulfilled. At least I don't know anybody that where that's been achieved. Maybe somebody out there, maybe somebody reached their spiritual potential. They fulfilled their spiritual potential by acquiring lots of money. Okay, you're saying I think most here want to see you and your family succeed and thrive and wouldn't begrudge or care you exploring any and all opportunities and avenues for money. I agree with that. Yeah. And to be honest, like, yeah, I mean, I'm just like anybody else, man. Like, I want more money. Not in like a greedy way, but it's like, yeah, I could definitely use more money. I mean, how many people couldn't use more money, right? Um, I would love to be in that position, like Forrest Gump, where it's like, I got so much money, like, it's just one less thing to worry about. That'd be great. But that's not the position I'm in. And so I do care about money probably more than I would if I had an overabundance of it, certainly. And I think a lot of people would support that. I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, that's cool, dude. Do your thing. But I don't know. Sometimes I get my own way for my own personal reasons. And sometimes I've had a tendency throughout my life to make my life more difficult than it would need to be. And I'm not sure where that instinct comes from. All right, boss. I'll give you your 5 treats. Enough money to be comfortable, nothing more, nothing less. The thing about being comfortable though, we seek out being comfortable, finding comfort. The thing about it though is like you have to be aware that you would now have to go out of your way to make yourself uncomfortable in a controlled manner. We need stress in our lives. Biologically, I mean, literally biologically, we need a certain amount of stress in our lives. And so if we don't experience any type of struggle or adversity or stress because maybe you have everything you need, there is no stress. You will create it, maybe not even realizing you're trying to create that because we literally need that to thrive, to be at our healthiest physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so, it's why money can't give you everything. If you are a rich individual and money is not a problem, it can remove a lot of problems in your life, a lot of worry, and it can add a lot of comfort. But you're still going to have certain things in place to cause friction, to challenge you, to stress you. You are going to need that, and I think certain people who do have money for a certain period of time, they kind of realize, like, man, not that it sucks, but it's just like I feel like there's something missing, and like that's what's missing. That's what's missing. And so you're gonna go chase something else. Um, it's I think it's a pretty well known thing. Why do some say more money, more problems? I mean, that's a thing too. That's a real thing. The more money you have, like if you're talking about having copious amounts of money, you will likely have more problems, just inherently. In the fact that like one of the biggest problems that people who are very, very rich need to worry about are people stealing their money. And I'm not talking about like people literally robbing them. I'm talking about people close to them who are managing their money and shit like that. You got to worry about that stuff. You got to worry about it. You got to worry about like, do I actually know this person? Is this person actually a friend, or is it just a money thing? You know what I mean? It brings with it its own set of problems. And it just goes to show that that's life, dude. Like whether you're at the bottom or the top, the truth is there is no bottom or top. There's just man-made arbitrary nonsense. We have to abide by, apparently. But at the end of the day, we enter the world alone. We leave the world alone. We all enter the world the same way. We all leave the world the same way. And we all go through this experience. Not saying the experience from person to person is the same, but there are some universal. I know. He's so upset. Look at how upset he is, dude. I'm over here having like this deep philosophical discussion, and boss is just like, that was not enough treats. He's actually mad at me, dude. Boss, you're just part of a system, bro. Don't you understand? Don't you understand you're a slave to your tiny brain? Biology cannot be overcome, bro. Not for you. Do you even know it's real? You're a slave to the treats, man. Go give me some reps. Go do some reps right now. You need to do some reps. You listening? Give him some catnip. You know what? I will. Maybe that's what yeah, that'll get him moving. I hope. Here, dude. You want some? Yeah, bro, over here. Over here. Oh my god, this cat's so lazy now. He's like, I don't even want catnip. Over here. Up here. There you go, man. Roll around. Run around. Enjoy it. I wasn't planning for this stream to turn into a philosophical discussion or basically a members lounge. We talked about PlayStation for about half the time. Sorry, Luna. Boss is getting the catnip today. It looks so uncomfortable, dude. You ever watch a cat eat catnip? It looks so uncomfortable. I don't know why he's eating it like that. Look at him. He doesn't... how are you enjoying that? He's like... Gaming Survivor, you did kick it off with your Mike Tyson comment. Yeah. You did. When do I think they're going to release Ghost of Yote? Did I get through all the topics? Yeah, I'll be honest. The only actual like gaming related topic I had for you guys was to just talk a little bit about PlayStation going into 2025. Very, very slow news day. The news today was almost non-existent, at least from what I could tell. Maybe there are a couple things I missed, but if that's the case, it's not a big deal. I'll save them for Sunday. I think Ghost of Yote is going to come out. I think it's going to be a game that comes out in September. That's what I'm thinking. I think it's going to hit the September release, a late summer. PS5 Pro is going to dominate 2025. I mean, I am curious to see how. I'm curious to see how well the PS5 does do, because we are entering, that second half, and Sony said they expect their console sales to slow down and fall. So we will see. Maybe they'll be wrong about that. I don't know. Ghost of Tsushima was released in June. So I'm going to say around that time. I mean, yeah, it could be an early summer release. Actually, I think Ghost of Tsushima came out in July. So maybe they'll strive for July again. Slow gaming news, very busy real world news. Yeah. Yeah, I can't even keep up with the real world news. I stopped trying. It's too much. It's too much. Do you know which life path you're going to choose in Cyberpunk? I'm actually not sure yet. I don't know what the differences between them are. Do you have any recommendations? You okay, bro? Gaming Survivor, you're saying calm before the storm? Yeah, yeah. I think that's yeah. I didn't know that's what you were referring to, but I'm kind of getting that feeling as well. If it's true that the Switch 2 reveal is coming next week, this is definitely the calm before the storm. You know what's super interesting about January? The Switch 2 is getting revealed. Apparently, Microsoft has a developer direct they're doing this month. And I bet you Sony does have a state of play plan for this month as well. Like I think we might end up seeing all three, like the big three. Obviously, Nintendo's being the biggest, and CES as well. Yeah, I think Nintendo's is easily going to be the biggest though because it's a whole new console reveal. But that would be awesome. I mean, how cool would that be if in January we ended up getting, you know, Nintendo doing their event, Microsoft Developer Direct, and then Sony with a state of play. Although I could see Sony maybe doing a state of play in February instead, but it does kind of feel like the calm before the storm when it comes to a bunch of announcements. These companies getting ready to talk and reveal a bunch of things. Street Kid is what I went with. Background in Cyberpunk adds dialogue options. Hmm. Please, for the love of God, play Cyberpunk 2077 and experience the glory of asshole Keanu Reeves. I have the game, dude. I'm trying to finish up Silent Hill 2 remake. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get the platinum for Silent Hill 2. It's not an easy platinum, and it requires like replaying the game multiple times. But I'm working on it. I think I have half the trophies, and once I finish that, I'm going to start playing Cyberpunk. That's interesting what you guys are saying about the life paths because Mrs. MEG is going to start playing Cyberpunk as well, and I will just at least make sure we don't pick the same path so we can talk about it, the differences. Corpo. When do I think GTA 6's release date will be? I think GTA 6 is going to be an October, November game. October or November is what I'm thinking. Did you guys see that analyst that's predicting that that GTA 6 is going to get $1 billion in pre-orders alone? Like, bro, what? That's unbelievable. I mean, it's actually very believable, but it's just kind of mind blowing, is what I mean to say. Kind of crazy. Do I have the Phantom Pain Platinum? I actually never got that Platinum, no. You think GTA 6 is bound for October? Call of Duty will get delayed to November. I can see that, yeah. I can see that. Joshua Reese with a super chat says 4 years ago you were just a voice. Oh, how it's changed. Yeah. Yeah, a lot has changed, Joshua. You know, I've often wondered to myself, I don't think I could afford to do this, but it's something I would like to like I could be wrong about it. I would just be curious. I feel like I've been streaming for so long and I've talked so much that like I can't even remember what it was like to not do this. And what I mean is when you talk, because you just reminded me of like the way I did my content 4 years ago, where I'm talking about doing like 4 videos a week or something, or 5 videos a week. And like at certain points, I didn't even stream at all. Like I just wasn't even streaming. I know you're saying it was a change for the good, but it just got me thinking where like I just wonder like what would change in how I feel, or like my perception of video games, or just the industry as a whole, if I just like didn't stream for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like I just stopped streaming. Like I took a long break. I can't do that, but I just wonder. Maybe I'll have Mrs. MBG take over the channel for a couple weeks or something. MBG's on vacation, man. His brain's fried from streaming too much. I just do wonder though, like if like maybe nothing would change. Maybe my perception would be exactly the same. I do just think about that sometimes though. The world would suffer. Uh-oh. I have a duty here. Why do I feel like GTA 5 is going to be announced for the Switch 2? Oh my god, I think you're right. I feel like that's such an insult, dude, to like Switch owners. Like the year GTA 6 is releasing, they're like, you guys can have GTA 5 now. I'm going to go across the world looking for answers. You know who did that? You know what's interesting, Gaming Survivor? Neil Peart did that. Feel bad, man. Neil Peart, he's passed away now. He was the drummer of Rush, widely considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest drummer of all time. And I think he lost his wife, and I think even his daughter in like an accident or something. And he just like got on a motorcycle and basically just traveled the world, like obscurely. And I don't know. I could see how that would drive a person to do that. It just makes me wonder, like, what he learned, if he learned anything. 5K memberships for 1 week with Mrs. MBG, and I'm on vacation. Bro, if that's the case, it's like, I guess my time's up. Oh, Christopher, a member for 9 months. Thank you for that, buddy. He says, in times of chaos, I ask myself, what would Jim Ryan do? Hashtag Ryanthology. WWJD. What would Jim do? That's funny, man. Yeah, Ryanthology still lives on in small circles. How did I get the platinum on Ghost of Tsushima? I need one more Flesh of Steel. Dude, I cannot remember. I cannot tell you. That's like information my brain dumps after I finish it, where I'm like, I knew exactly. If you would ask me while I was playing it, I'd be able to tell you, but I can't. I have no idea. Apparently, Jason Schreier thinks GTA is going to get delayed to 2026. I mean, it's highly plausible, but I don't know, man. Take-Two Interactive seems very confident. I'm not saying that they would just say we're not confident, but all I know is the day that they announce a delay, if that does happen, they got to drop a new trailer. That's all I know. Do I remember the face reveal video? I do. I remember that very well. Good times, man. But no, I never went to a Rush concert. One of the more high energy ones you've ever attended. I believe it. Yeah, Rush is good. I don't listen to them that often, but they do come on occasion, and I do enjoy them. Never been to a concert of theirs, but I could definitely imagine it being a high energy concert. TC says, just beat Liza P a week ago. Amazing game. Hope they release a DLC soon while it's fresh in my memory. Absolutely. Liza P is one of my favorite games, dude. Awesome, awesome game. Have I seen Slipknot live? I've not seen them live. I've watched a lot of their live shows, though, on YouTube. Pretty insane. Pretty insane. I'm waiting to hear about a new Slipknot album. They got that new drummer, Eloy Casagrande. Absolute monster of a drummer. Really curious to see how that ends up sounding. Because he's only been playing, I think, all their discography, but I want to hear some original songs with him on drums. But guys, I think this is going to wrap it up for this stream. I'm running on fumes here. I'm going to have to make sure for the rest of the night and tomorrow I get well rested, because this was definitely a challenging week. It was like a great week and a horrible week at the same time, man. Oh God. First time you saw Slipknot was when they first started at Offset on the small stage a long time ago. That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, it was a crazy week. We started out the year great. I mean, we got a lot of support this week on the channel, and it was great, absolutely great to see, and I really appreciate that, guys. I had a family tragedy that occurred this week as well, which I don't know. It's still it's not good. So it's kind of messing with me a little bit. But nonetheless, I do appreciate you guys being here for me. I appreciate you supporting. I appreciate everybody who has tuned in and hung out for a little bit. Definitely one of the crazier starts to a year I've ever had. And maybe, I don't know. I don't know if this is setting the tone for what to expect in 2025, but man, I'm only 3 days into 2025 and I feel like I'm fucking wiped, bro. So my goal is to try to get fresh for Sunday. Okay. Worst case scenario, I'm not planning on this, but worst case scenario, I won't be here Sunday, but just know that if I'm not here Sunday, it's just because I need a little bit more time to rest up. But I usually bounce back pretty quick. I bounce back pretty quick. So thank you for that. Okay. I appreciate it, guys. Ice Queen Gaming, gotta take care of yourself, man. Take care of your mental health. Don't let these things stress you out. Focus on enjoying your day. It's easier said than done, but time is limited. Time is limited. Try to spend some of it enjoying yourself. But yeah, guys, have a good rest of your day. I just also want to encourage anybody, if you're a channel member, if you missed any of the members lounges this week, or we did a morning with the missus, 2.5 hours long this morning, please go check that out. It's I think a lot of people think it was the best morning with the missus so far. A lot of people really enjoyed it. So please go check that out. I'm going to try to make that a regular thing. Will I make a community post if I don't on Sunday? I probably will. Yeah, just to let you guys know. But I'm not anticipating that's going to happen. I don't think it will. I think I'll be back. So, all right, guys, please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again for making this week so awesome. And I will catch all of you guys in the next one. And I will have to try to remember to increase my bit rate next stream. So if the camera hasn't looked 100% today, I'm curious to see if you guys notice a difference in the next stream. So, all right, that does it. Take care, everyone. I'll catch you later. I need to get some rest.